Evening to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting, this is today meeting only one item, which is the board plan, only for half an hour. In last meeting, we had a lot of discussion, and we was agreed to circulate the board plan again. And I hope everybody did get it. And we have to be decided to accept it or reject it. Let me say something. Whatever funds we do have, I want Leslie to make a note who vote which side. If we somehow, I don't want to be see the lose any funding we already have to spend. So whatever we have the items and circulated, if still something left, and we can come back onto it. This is not end of. So time to time it keeps changing. So that's what my request to everyone. Let us take it, let us start it, let us accept it as it is. And if we need to change it in the future, we can do so. This is not end of the world. That's only the word I want to be say. Please carry on this. And if you raise the hands one by one, and rather than discussion, I think we had a time to go through with it. We know what it is in it. This is not a discussion. We can say a few things if we like to, but it is only half an hour. The meeting have to be in 7:30. Thank you. Who would like to start with? Graham? Yes. We can't hear you, Graham.
I'm on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I expect you've read the statistical information behind the planning. I've read it. Were you at all concerned about any part of it? I was somewhat concerned about the accuracy of the contextual information. As you know, I was head teacher of Holy Trinity School for many years, and yet within the information, the contextual information that we've got for Handsworth Wood Ward, Holy Trinity School is included as a school within the ward. It's never been in the ward. It's always been in either Handsworth or Birchfield. It's never ever been in within the ward, and which made me query things. And then I looked at the data where the 2016 is when most of the data is taken from. Well, of course, in 2016, large parts of what is now Holyhead Ward were in Handsworth Wood Ward, and they're no longer there. A lot of the figures won't be accurate because it doesn't reflect the ward as it is. And of course, there are more up-to-date figures. Now, I'm not saying this to muddy the waters or make us start looking over things again, but it's just a little concerned at the way the officers put it together and the rigor at which they employed in looking at the statistics and so on, and what the information they had. Certainly, the 2016 statistics would not reflect the ward as it is now. Anyway, that's it. I said that piece there. I think that needs to be recorded and taken back to the officers so that in future they look at things more carefully.
Councillor Atwal, did you read the report?
Yes, I read. I know there is a few things as Graham, he did mention. Unfortunately, I was in the hospital, and even not well today. I went to the hospital again. Graham, you raised the school, some other things are outside, from our board. We only cater for Handsworth Wood Board. It has been raised before as well in the last meeting and meeting before. I don't know why the names of the school or some other things are keep coming into it.
Yeah,
yes,
Basically, Leslie, I think you need to take back to your colleagues that the contextual information needs to be reread, edited, proofed by officers, because at the moment it is inaccurate in terms of the listings of schools and various things. So that's number one. Number two is that we had a long discussion at the Handsworth Wood Residents Association, and we don't think that the deprivation information is either accurate or helpful. There is no mention in it on whether the information relies on the old ward boundaries or if it's the new ward boundaries. If it's the old ward boundaries, as Graham says, it's basically a nonsense, because the old ward was far bigger and contained areas with very different levels of need to the current Handsworth Wood ward. It's perfectly possible to use the new ward boundaries for this information. It just needs a little bit of work, and the effort which some of the residents here, and particularly Anne and colleagues, have put in gathering the information about the triangle, which we've used for the work around exempt accommodation, shows that it's perfectly easy to build up the super output area data to whatever geography you choose to use. So those are two separate issues which we'd like you to take back to the other officers. And on those two issues alone, we don't feel that the ward plan as it currently stands can go forward. There's a third issue though, which is more fundamental,
Jan, can I interrupt you? Leslie, can you make a note, the point raised by Jan?
I have done, Councillor.
Before as well, when we look into it, and I been told they will change it, but still not been changed.
Okay, I'm taking the notes.
Change within our boundary of Handsworth Wood Board. We don't want to be included from elsewhere. So that causing a lot of confusion, to the councillor and to the residents as well. We make sure we change it. Just carry it down.
Okay, and then the third issue, which residents have got concerns about, is the way that part of the Handsworth Wood Residents Association table of actions had been used and part of it hadn't. We think it's confusing to have two tables in the ward plan, and we're not comfortable with the one that had been amended. So what we propose, because we know that there's some urgency to get this plan agreed, is that you simply use the headline topics rather than having a detailed or what appears to be an action plan, but in reality is not an action plan. So we're proposing that you just use the headline topics. That's in line with lots of the other ward plans that there are across the city. And that leaves us the opportunity to separately work with city council officers, police and other agencies to have some meaningful conversations and do some action planning properly. But as it stands, we're not prepared to support the ward plan as it is.
Okay, I've noted that, Jan.
Would you like me to read out the headline issues that we suggest should be contained in the plan? I mean, you
can you please email, because we only got half an hour. Okay.
Well, it won't take me very long to read those words. I think there's about 20 words. So the A is local pride and community action.
Mm-hmm.
B is HMOs, HMOs, private rented sector accommodation and exempt accommodation. C is environment and waste. D is community safety. E is road safety. So we're suggesting that just those simple 5 headings are what goes into the ward plan, which gives us lots of scope to do things.
I agree, Jan. I agreed with these all. I always then, they will look into the HM and the other. Let us not go through to waste the time. Who is the next, please? I think it's Nina here. Nina, we can't hear you.
Yeah, no, I haven't put up my hand. I'm listening, and I agree with the bullet points, like what Jen said, 5 points for Handsworth Wood Ward.
Thank you, Nina, and I also agree with what Jen said. John.
Yep.
John,
Yes.
you were raising a hand, I believe.
No.
Okay, who else, please? Did anybody else have to say anything? Tonya?
Thank you. Yes, I agree with Jan, but I just want to say as well that I think the City Council officers didn't have very much capacity for putting all these ward plans together. So, you know, it's a shame if things like that have crept up. But I mean, the ward plans have been going on for an extraordinary long amount of time. And I imagine that in 2016, all that data was current when the first ward plans were being put together, and it's just taken us 6 years to, I don't know, is that unfair? That's probably a bit unfair, isn't it? But they have been dragging on for a long time. But yeah, I just want to say that I think the officers have done a good job. But I agree with Jan.
As I said in starting, I think Jane came later. Whatever we haven't put into it, whatever we feel in the future we need it, we will add it. Because we have to work together. That's our goal, you know, and we have to be work together. Whatever it's been left, whatever it's need to be more added, we will do it. Is anybody else? Yes, Graham?
Simply that I think the proposal proposed by Jan is a good, straightforward. It's simple, but it allows for expansion on all of those things for further discussion and further negotiation and the rest of it. So it's a very straightforward, simple 5-point plan which covers all the issues that we need to bring up within the ward, which we can expand upon.
I agreed. Yes, we have to bring it in, but let us say, see, sometimes we have some ideas, but there is a much need. We don't have a funding. But sometimes, if we haven't add anything into the board in, for God's sake, if we get some funding, we can add it into it. So that's the way, you know, we would like to be work, but let us start something. I don't want to be lose any funding and leave the funding, you know, without using for our board. That's my worry. Is anybody else?
Yep, I'm put my hand up now.
Yes, John, I can see now.
Yeah,
Running at risk of losing.
I think that I thought that what you were saying, Councillor, was that that you agreed with the idea that there was too much stuff there, like inaccurate information and so on, which you don't want in the published thing. It needs to go. That makes complete sense, and it then gives you a complete scope then to move forward with the main headings and start making that. If we're talking about funding, we need clarity to move forward, not anything that's going to get in the way. And we certainly want the data to be up to date. I mean, talking about going back to 2016, we know very well we've lost a lot of time over the last couple of years, and we need to catch up. So we now bring this together, get the essentials that have been put forward, and I think that will be very helpful.
Thank you, John. As I said, I keep saying it. We have to work together. Let us, take it forward. How we can work together for goodness for our board. Is anybody else want to say anything? And yes, I can see your hand, Anne. And we can't hear you.
Sorry, I've unmuted. That all sounds really positive. What I suggest we do, because it's a short meeting, we've still got 14 minutes left, and I know we've got Sergeant Pinches here as well, who's presumably here to talk to us about something quite important. But I suggest what we do is we just move to a vote on the list, get that out of the way, perhaps have a couple of minutes discussing what it would mean now that we've got this list, because the purpose of the list is so that we can focus. And we do have some ideas, which I won't say now, but we have some ideas for how we can bring the ward forum together to focus on these points. It isn't just a tick box list that goes in and then we forget it. We're quite serious about wanting to do the work on it. So could we perhaps move to a vote and then just have a couple of minutes discussing? We've got some proposals to put on how we take this forward.
And I'll keep saying there because running the time. Yes, even last meeting I said, maybe we don't have something in mind as a present or which is not available. It may become available in the future. We will add into it. This is not just a restriction. We can't do this because we haven't ticked box, as you said. Chan, you raise your hand again.
Yes, I think Harben had her hand up before me, though. Harben?
Pardon? Hello?
Hello.
Harvans, I
Yes.
think it's Harvans raising the hand.
Yes.
Yes, Harvans.
Yes, it's just to say that I agree with Jan and one or two other colleagues that we should go with the ABCD list. You know, it's a way forward rather than spending time over, you know, other information, and then have a proposal today in terms of moving forward with that list. So we do something, the action plan, we start doing that. And also then you can come back to us with whatever funding that you're on about. But you know, that, you know, I agree with Jan that we should go with the list in the plan.
I already agreed. Thank you, Harvans. We agreed and we will carry on there, you know, work together as a team. And yes, even as I said, time to time, new things come then we can discuss these further.
Right. So what's the time, Leslie, what's the likely timescale for your colleagues to come back with the corrections to the first part of the report?
I can't really speak on their behalf, Jan. They've got a massive workload at the moment with the Commonwealth grant funding. But if I speak to Neil tomorrow and email you out what Neil suggests tomorrow, is that okay?
That would be helpful, because it's really, I mean, to be honest, this is the officer side. You know, you know, they are the ones that need to read it and correct it. We've done our side in terms of agreeing the set of priorities. The rest is down to the officers. So if the pressure is on from Neil and colleagues to get this agreed, it really needs to be prioritised within that team.
Yeah, I'll speak to Neil tomorrow, but I would just also like to add, Councillor Kooner is having technical difficulties. She's emailed me a couple of times. I'm trying to get her into the meeting, but it's just not working at the moment. But no, I will speak to Neil tomorrow and email everybody tomorrow as well.
I'm going to hand over to Anne, because she's had some suggestions about, you know, if there is this commitment about working together, what this means for ward forum meetings. Anne.
Can I bring the Sergeant Jason Penchett? I think he sent a message. He want to say something? He want to raise something?
No, I don't want to interrupt. It was just to highlight the email address for the Handsworth Wood account. If anybody has any issues locally and wants to speak to officers, they can use that email address, and it'll land with me or other officers who'll hopefully reply as soon as we're on duty. Okay, thank you, officer. Okay, did anybody else want to say something?
Yeah.
Councillor Ant has a hand up.
Yes, Nina.
Yeah, I was just, I don't know if other people agree with, you know, the meetings that we have. I know I sent an email out to yourself before. And I know Emily would have come today, but obviously we needed these meetings in the evening, not in the daytime.
Hello.
Yeah, did you get what I just said?
No, not he.
I said I sent an email out to you and to Narinder about these meetings that we have, ward meetings. They end up being in the afternoon, 2 o'clock. And I like to attend them, but I can't attend because I do a school run at that time. So I'm sure other people want to attend as well. So could we have the meetings in the evening, please?
Nina, we will look into it because there's some meetings, only couple of meetings left in this year, maybe one meeting, only one meeting. But when we set up the meeting for next financial year, We will look into it. We have to speak to the officers as well, about their time as well, not just the council.
But that's what I was told when you had the meeting in December. I was told you would look at 2022. So it seems to me like they're not expected to attend.
I think we have this special meeting, but the next meeting, I think we go to sometime in March. I don't know. I don't have a diary with me.
It's March the 10th, the next meeting.
It's a March. That's only the one meeting we have.
The only next meeting you've got booked in is March the 10th. You set them all at the beginning of the municipal year.
That's okay. When we set up, the next financial year, we will look into it. Okay.
Councillor Kooner's joined the meeting, Councillor.
Pardon?
Councillor Kooner's been able to join the meeting.
That's okay. She can't join the meeting now. I know she told me. Anyway.
I'm in the meeting, Councillor Kooner. So, Councillor Atwal, I'm in the meeting.
You are in the meeting. That's okay. Yeah. I think, Councillor Kooner, we discuss the things now. We are about to, it's only 5-6 minutes left, and we going to be looking into it. We're going to, my humble request to everybody to accept it as we discuss, and let us start it. Let us carry on. And the board, whatever, the Jane raised some points, we will add into it.
No, I'm sorry, Councillor. We've just all discussed that we don't accept it as it is. When we are not accepting the ward plan as it is. That's the whole gist of half an hour.
I think you raised some point as the bullet points, okay, and the headline, whatever you said, we said yes, we will add into it.
No, but there's also huge numbers of inaccuracies in it. Until those inaccuracies are corrected and there's some up-to-date demographic data, we can't accept it. That we've just had half an hour discussing it.
Councillor Atwal, can I come in?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Jan. Apologies everyone for being late, but then for some reason it wasn't showing in my diary. I was in another meeting, so I'll just rush back for this meeting. So apologies for that. Can I just ask Jan? In terms of your concerns, you said that you feel there's inaccuracies. Are you able to elaborate slightly in terms?
Hi, Narinder. Yeah, you can go back and listen to the recording of this. Graham highlighted them at the beginning. When you read, have you read the report, Narinder? Have you read it yourself?
Yes, I know there's some inaccuracies in there.
Yes, somebody who's written it who doesn't know where schools are and various other things.
Yes.
First of all, those inaccuracies have to be corrected.
Yes.
Secondly, Graham highlighted that the demographic data is really old and is not specific about which boundaries it relates to, so that needs to be changed. And then the third area is that we don't accept the two tables that have been inserted. I think someone's got some another going. And the third is that we only have the headline.
Can we ask everyone to mute? Because there's a lot of feedback. Unless speaking.
Hello? I think we can't hear properly. I can't hear properly. There's a lot of echo.
Okay, so I totally agree with you, Jan. I have raised those concerns in terms of the inaccuracies on the data around the ward. I've raised them previously as well. So we could, with that I agree that needs correcting, and it's out of date. There's assets which is stating are in our ward which aren't in our ward. So and there's some assets which are missing. So I have raised that before. For some reason I don't understand why it's not corrected.
Okay,
so in terms of the ward priorities, obviously that can be corrected. The main focus of today is about the ward priorities.
Yeah.
So in terms of the ward priorities, I mean, Councillor Atwal, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but my thoughts are obviously the concerns raised by residents, totally agree with them. We have got lots of issues within our ward. What I think the reason the format was changed previously is because if you look at other ward plans from other wards, you're talking about 4 or 5 pages of a ward plan maximum in terms of identifying just the topics, not the detail of it. Obviously, you work through the detail as a ward over the year. And that's why it was we were looking to keep the detail as the appendix, and then in order to make it easy to read in terms of the topics that and areas of concern, they were sort of like shortened in the shortened version. So apart from if you take that on board, and you know the comments that I've just made, are people minded to accept the ward priorities as they are, with the shortened table and the appendices added with the detail? Oh, Jan, you're on mute.
Jan, you're on the mute.
That's
Yes.
it. No, Narinda, it's a shame that you weren't here, you know, because we've gone through all this. What the residents are happy with is if we just list the 5 headline issues. They're contained in the chat. We do not want there to be a mix up with you know, 2 tables in there. We're not happy with the way that some of the Handsworth Wood Resident Association's priorities have been used and some haven't been used. Therefore, we want both the tables removed and simply have those 5 headline issues listed as the ward priorities. We've been through this, we've all given our views, and it's just unfortunate that you weren't here at the beginning.
The thing is that in terms of the tables, and I appreciate that the time and effort that the Handsworth Residents Association has put in terms of pulling together their priorities, their views on the ward priorities. We've extended our deadline already by quite a lot, and in order to make it a workable plan, that was the reason for shortening the table, to make it workable and deliverable. So,
Narinda, you've used some bits, but you haven't used others, and that's not acceptable to the Resident Association. So to make it simple, what we're saying is take out the 2 tables and just have the headline issues. And that's what we're happy, that's what we're willing to agree to. We've just been through all this, we've all said the same thing. It's a simple way forward, it's a good compromise, and it means once the officers have corrected the inaccuracies, then it's something that can come back for agreement very quickly.
Jan, I did mention to you before the Narendra came in, yes, we agreed, and you read the bullet points or the headlines which has been noted, and we will add into it what else you want. That's what we agree. You keep saying this, we are agreed with it. So whatever the headline, 4 or 5, I think headline, you read it. And that's what we're saying. And there is a need some correction. There is something, some school, you know, the other things has been, you know, the out of our the area, and we will correct it. So if we keep, you know, doing it, meeting and meeting again, you know, no need to have another meeting. And as I said, we like to be work as a councillor with the local residents as a whole. So let us carry on. So we agreed, you raised the point and asked the Leslie to make a note into it. Leslie, can you read this point to Councillor Kooner, please?
But the points are in the chat, Councillor. Okay, let me get them.
I'll have a look, Leslie. It's okay, don't worry.
Okay, yeah, they're in the chat. Jan put them in, and so did Dan.
Okay, I'll have a look through. Don't worry.
So to be clear, this isn't about adding things, this is about removing things from the ward plan. So what we're asking for is that the 2 tables are removed and that you just have these 5 headline topics listed.
Okay, so I had last time, I don't know if Paul is here. So one of the things that Paul wanted on here was he wanted to have youth services on there, because obviously that's the sector that he works in and he sees. And then also he was also saying about mental health as well, loneliness and mental health and well-being. So that was things that he asked for as well at the last meeting.
Yeah, those are things that can all fit in under these issues, because, you know, loneliness and mental health, it could be an aspect of local pride and community action. It could be an aspect of, you know, private rented accommodation, depending on what aspect it was. All those things can fit into those. That's what our views are from the Residents Association.
Okay, well, I'm going to make sure that we do include those as a separate one, because those are ones that Paul asked to be put on there when he spoke to me. So I am going to ask for those to be put on there as well. I mean, I don't have an issue with those 5 key headlines. Councillor Atwal, do you? Are you happy with that?
Happy. I already, before you came, I already told to Jan, yes, we are happy. And
Okay.
I asked Leslie to make a note of these 5 headlines.
Okay. Leslie, if you
And
could
even
items that
let
Paul...
me finish. Even Jane raised, which is very nicely, thanks Jane. And there is some schools or some other things are out of our boundaries, and then these need to be removed from the board plan. So we agreed with it.
Okay, Leslie, have you got the points that Paul raised as well from the Clemdedge Scout Hut?
Narinda,
Well, I'll have them from the previous meeting, Councillor, if you want those added.
Please, yeah, I think, yes, Graham.
I spoke to Paul in the week, last week, and he mentioned again the mental health and youth. Now, those can certainly be dealt with under community action, because most of the mental health things that we'll be dealing with as a ward will be to do with people connecting with each other. Things like the U3A, things like the Scouts. It's to do with that rather than to do with NHS issues, which are separate, and the medical side of things. So it's that kind of thing, actually people connecting with each other through the local community connections and community roots. So I think that's fine. In terms of youth, again, that can certainly be contained within the community action side of things, because it is part of community action. So all those things that Paul mentioned can be contained within that point A, local pride and community action. It's an all-embracing thing that can stretch that far quite easily.
Okay.
It doesn't need a separate mention.
I think I would be happier, because you did have the conversation to add it as a separate mention. Yes, it can go under there, but I think add it as a separate mention, please. Leslie, are we then happy or content then if we do those, go through, we can finalise those details, Councillor Atwal, in terms of the specifics on the local area. We'll just go through them again with Neil, make sure they're updated with more accurate records and data. And then we can add the bullet points as specified there.
Brenda, the bullet points aren't an addition, they're an instead of. They're not an addition.
No, I know. Most of these are already on there. I know that, Graham.
What we're recommending is, because the general contextual information is so inaccurate, and where it's come from is so inaccurate, it's not worth making detailed plans based on that. Much better have those, what you're calling bullet points, as the only points, and then we can expand from that without getting any sort of inaccuracies in our planning.
Okay, Councillor Atwal, your comments on that?
It's very straightforward.
We already spoken, discuss many time to time the same issues come. We are running out of the time. I have to end up the meeting because I got another commitment, because there was the time and we was agreed this special meeting, and with the due respect to everybody, Handsworth Wood Residents Association, there is some other groups are around. I know they are not in the meeting. They're talking to us differently, and there's a lot of community rounds, you know, we have to cater for as a councillor, and we like to be carry on whatever we can do it. And lastly, I request to everybody, let us accept this plan and we could carry on. Maybe we, you know, as a Jan, I know you said you don't, but as I said and agreed, yes, we would carry on working. If new things come, then we will work with you. What else we can say that? If we send it back again, change this one, add this one, then we won't end up anywhere. We need to start. Let us start with.
No, Councillor, we've been very clear with you that the report as it is not agreed by residents. It cannot be, you cannot say that you've got support from residents. You need to have the corrections made and bring it back to us, and then we can see that it's been made, those corrections have been made. We will not agree to it as it stands at the moment.
But that's entirely up to you, Jan. Entirely up to you. I'm requesting we circulate these things. I don't know, it has been sent it again with the correction you made it or not. When it been circulated from the last meeting, and we had a special meeting today, then you want another meeting, then other meeting, then other meeting, where we will end up.
Gerdiel,
Right.
Gerdiel, what we want is for right. We're not.
Hello, I can't hear you.
I'm like everybody else, spending my own time. We are not paid in the evening here. It's voluntary. As I said, I'm spending my own time. I'm not looking for extra meetings. What I am looking for is for what we do to be correct.
Well, that's what, Graham, I said. Whatever Jan raise it, we will correct it.
Correct now, what we vote for, to be correct. I don't.
Well, that's what I think. I asked. Okay, let me say again.
Now, I want to be correct.
Okay, Graham. I said to Leslie, I said again, Leslie, please make a note of these and we will make a correction.
No. What I vote for tonight, I want to feel is correct. Not something that's going to be corrected, possibly, we don't know when.
Well, that's okay then. Okay, we agreed.
It's already, well, fine. So you're agreeing to those 5 headings then, just simply those 5 headings.
Yes. Yes,
no,
we agreed.
No, we're not.
The 5 headings.
We're also looking to add what other residents have said. It's not,
Please, can we have a one by one, please?
Yeah, can I just say,
Councillor Kooner, can I bring you in, please? We agreed 5 these headlines.
Yes, so we've agreed those, but then I've also just said, so it's not just those 5. Other member residents have asked for other things to be added, and
yes,
I also need to ensure that that's included.
Narinda, they should have been here to put their point, not through a
He was at the last meeting. Yeah, he was at the last meeting. I don't know why he's not here. I mean, I
know why he's not here. He's busy with other things.
Graham,
the only people that should have a voice are the people that are here. It shouldn't come through a third party.
This is a ward plan for the whole ward, Graham. It's not just
for the people who are here. This is a vote tonight, Narinda. It is a vote for the people who are here, who have taken the trouble to be here, not for some people who may have said something somewhere to somebody at another time.
Graham,
for the people who've taken the trouble to be here tonight.
Graham, can I say again?
Very straightforward. It's very straightforward. It's democracy.
Graham, I think it is a very straightforward. Whatever Jane agreed, Jane raised it, we agreed. So that's on the record now.
No, it's not. We've not agreed that. What we've said is we want these 5 points, not the rest of it. We haven't said that we agree to something being put in and then we change it later. That's very much what we have not said.
Well, okay. Say again what you want. Okay, what do you want us to do then?
What we've said. We've made it very clear. We thought we were going point by point. We thought you were agreeing, and then you asked us say yes or no. Now, Councillor, you contacted me. I thought it was very disrespectful of you. Now, yes or no.
Okay,
we came back. I would never have treated my constituents in the way that you seem to be treating us. Now, it's absolutely disgraceful. Now, we've come here, we've made our points, very reasonable points, and we've asked, and we thought on each point that there was agreement. And then you come back and say, you accept it or not? We said no. We want this done.
Rather than one by one, if as a bulk 5 points raised by Jan, we agreed. Okay, tell me, is everybody agree with these?
Only those 5 points, Gerdiel, nothing else.
Yeah, that's what.
Only those 5 points recorded, nothing else. That's what we're talking about. Be very clear with that, please, Gerdiel.
How about the rest of the board plan?
No, we want the tables taken out so that the only detail about priorities are those 5 topics. The 2 tables should be removed because they don't work.
They're based on inaccuracies.
Did we raise in the last meeting, Jan? Did you raise or anybody else raise in last meeting?
Yes, people at the last meeting said that they didn't like to be bounced into something. That's why we were.
No, Jan, I'm asking the table you are talking about yourself or anybody else raised in the meeting and last meeting or not?
Yes, they did.
Well, Gerdiel, why are
Okay.
we talking about the
After that, when it has been circulated to everybody, have anybody written to the officer back or not?
Yes,
No,
they
we're
have.
here tonight, Gerdiel. We're here tonight.
Please,
to discuss it.
please,
Gerdiel, we are here tonight.
please, let
to
you.
discuss it. Gerdiel,
Okay, when
we
you
are
raise
here
it,
tonight to discuss it.
Graham.
Please don't observate. It's nothing to do with writing to officers. It's here tonight that we're to discuss it. This meeting has been arranged tonight. It's nothing to do with writing to officers before or anything else or what happened at another meeting. We're here tonight to discuss it. We put
Graham,
the point that we will agree with. The rest is a diversion.
Okay,
The rest is
Graham.
a diversion, Gerdiel. It's a complete diversion. We must stick to the point that we raised. You are diverting us.
Graham,
Yes, Gerdiel.
my understanding, tonight the meeting was half an hour, and then
Yes, but it could have been half an hour.
Hold on.
It could have been half
We're
an hour.
going to
At quarter past 7.
Can I ask that everyone
Those
speaks to the
5
chair
points.
because this meeting's not productive otherwise. If anyone wants to speak, can I ask everyone indicates and speaks to the chair, please? Thank you.
Graham,
Yes,
the
Gerdiel.
meeting was arranged for half an hour. One item, either we're going to accept it or we reject it. That's entirely up to you.
We
What
will
you want to
reject
do
it.
it? You want to reject it or you want
Yes.
to accept it?
As it stands, we reject.
Reject.
That's fine.
We
How
reject.
many? Let
reject
us
it.
vote, please. I got another commitment.
You've just made
okay?
problems. You
I
just
got another commitment to go that the meeting was only half an
want to
hour.
be a councillor again.
That's-
Can I
John,
suggest
right.
that we have a show of hands so
Go
that we
away.
can see rejections and the acceptance of the plan, please? So, who is this through you, Councillor? Would you like to ask who rejects the plan?
Okay, who going to accept it? Raise your hand.
Sorry. So can I ask one question? And I really apologise for being late. Were the additional items put in about youth work and mental health? That's and I appreciate you've been discussing this. I've just come back from a long meeting, so I'm sorry I'm late.
Paul, that would be contained within community action. Because most of the items about mental health and would be local links, things locally through the community. The NHS, for the medical side of things, aren't in this ward plan. They can't be in the ward plan. So anything to do with consultation with doctors or referring is not something that the ward plan can contain. And so the things that, in terms of mental health, are things like the U3A, like the Scouts, like expanding those things, like work with the schools. And that would come with inside community action. Education isn't also included because education is not within the local authority's brief. They're all separate things. So we can only deal with things that are within the local authority's brief. NHS, obviously mental health, NHS, there's big issues there, but that's not within the ward plan's brief. And neither is the work with schools within the ward plan's brief. So in my reading of it, what we need to do, if we're talking about mental health, is to think about how the community can help each other in terms of mental health through its structures, through the things that are there and adding things to it. I don't know if you can think of other things that could be added there.
Okay. Sorry, the last meeting we agreed that we would put 2 additional items in there around mental health support and youth work. Are those in
all
there?
all those things would come within the.
Please, you have to come through to the chair, please.
I'm asking
I
the chair.
have to be in the meeting because I got another commitment. I keep saying it. And I want you to, who going to accept it? Please raise the hand. The mental health, yes, we have to get report.
Okay.
Okay,
So
raise your hand. Who going to accept it? Or who going to, okay, the poll and Nina, who else?
No, I think
You're confusing us.
can you be clear about the voting, Councillor Atwell, because we're all getting confused with what we're, because you know what we've all been saying. Paul, can I explain? We're not accepting it because there's loads of inaccuracies and the data's wrong and the tables are wrong. That's why we're voting not to reject it.
I'm just concerned that without a ward plan, we will lose out on a lot of funding. Which
We're not losing out on any money. I can promise you that.
Any funding for.
No, we're not losing any.
Please, can.
Not true. That's not true.
Can. Okay. Can I ask who going to accept this board plan?
cool. Okay. Melinda. Councillor Atwell, are you voting?
Pardon?
Councillor Atwell, how are you voting?
Yes, I have vote. I accept it.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you vote if you're not a
Hold on, please. I'm voting. I'm taking a vote. Entirely up to everybody. Paul, you raise your hand. Are you accept the plan? Yes, 3. Anybody else? No. Okay. Who's going to reject the plan?
1.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's okay. It's rejected. Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Atwell, can I just
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and your efforts. Let us see what happens next. Okay. This is, please, I got to go. This is because this is only the board we having this we haven't accepted. No way forward we find it. It's just we, I'm sorry, I don't want to say nothing now. The meeting, and thanks for coming to the meeting. This is the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Can I just quickly make a comment before we close the meeting?
Thank you very much.
Councillor Atwell, can I make a quick comment before we close? Hello?
Sorry, we have to look into it. We have to be take the advice onto it. Okay, as a council, we have to be took as the chair. We have to take the advice from the city what can we do.
Councillor Atwell, can I make a quick comment, please, before we close?
Yes. Idan Narendra.
Yes. Can I just say to residents that I take on board the concerns that you raised, but I also wanted to say that, as the officer said at the last meeting, this is a working document, and as long as we have something to start on, we can carry on building on it during the year. There's nothing, and that's what the officer is saying. This is not a solid document that's not going to be looked at till next year. We keep on working on it until the next year, and I would urge residents to take that on board, because we do need to get a ward plan, because I don't know what the repercussions of this are going to be. And at the last meeting, as Paul said, they did say that there is, if you don't agree a ward plan, that there could be a loss of funding opportunities going forward. Now, personally, I don't know what those funding opportunities are, but those were comments made by officers at the last meeting. And if there is opportunities for funding to come towards community groups in our ward, I would like for the people to be able to utilise that to bring services that they're able to deliver. So, I mean, I don't know if anyone else has anything to say in addition, like, we're taking that on board, because
none of us want that to happen, but it's down to the officers now to make the corrections which they should do in terms of the inaccuracies. update the demographic data. That is all the officer's task, and it's a very, very simple thing in terms of sorting out the priorities. It would take someone mostly 2 hours of work to do this. So the barriers to getting this sorted are not with the community, but they are within the city council.
So are you happy? Are you happy for that to go as delegated responsibility to make, if we ensure that that information is updated, it can come back to the committee, where we can say, okay, well, these demographics have been updated, and this is what's been taken out, and this is what's been put in.
Sorry, could you say that again? I couldn't hear you.
Would you be happy to give authority to chairman, delegated responsibility to ensure that that information is updated?
No, I don't think we.
You've just got you on mute, Jan. So
stays off mute. No, I don't think anyone would be happy to leave that to the chair's delegation. I think we would be happy for you to bring it back to an executive meeting of the Handsworth Wood Residents Association to verify that. But it was Graham. It's Graham reading it that identified these things. Officers should have picked it up beforehand, and it should never have come. It should never have come out to people with that level of inaccuracies.
It has already been highlighted before, Jan. I've highlighted it. There's schools in there which aren't in our ward, and there's schools which are in our ward which aren't in there.
It's sloppy. We can't let that go.
Can I, Councillor Kooner, you asked for to raise something, you raised it. This is nearly an hour meeting. I have another commitment to. Okay, so the end of the meeting. Thank you very much for everybody to come. Your time. See you next time. Thank you very much. Thanks. End of the